think the biggest threat from 3I/Atlas is the main debris field. The shotgun blast of rock and ice currently peppering the upper atmosphere. They don't know about the one little secret I kept for myself. Am I a bad person for this? I used to run the whole show, the Celestial Threat Assessment Division at Omni Stellar Dynamics. My job, my entire life's purpose, was to stare into the digital abyss and find the things staring back. I wasn't just a number cruncher. Anyone with a powerful enough rig can track an object. My skill was different. I could see the ghosts in the machine, the subtle gravitational ticks and solar radiation pressures that could nudge a seemingly harmless chunk of space rock from a near miss into a direct hit. I wrote the foundational code for the predictive models they still use, the very system Director Thorne used to justify my termination. He said I was obsessing, that my projections were statistically insignificant noise. Thorne. I can still see his smug, condescending face as he handed me the box for my personal effects. Your models have become erratic, Elias. He'd said, his voice smooth as polished marble. We need clear, actionable data for the consortium, not your alarmist fantasies about rogue fragments. Behind him, Lena, my best analyst, looked like she wanted to vomit. She knew. She'd seen the same data I had, the same terrifying vector I'd isolated. But she had a mortgage and a career to think about, so she just stared at her shoes while security escorted me out of the building. From my cramped apartment, surrounded by a spiderweb of monitors I'd bought with my severance, I can still see it, while Thorne and his team are reassuring the world about the predictable, manageable decay of the main 3I/Atlas cluster. I'm tracking the one piece that matters. The one my system flagged and I refuse to ignore. It's a fragment no bigger than a delivery truck, a splinter that calved off the main comet during its perihelion pass. And it's not on a random trajectory. It's on a perfect, elegant, mathematically undeniable course for a single, infinitesimally small point on this planet, the rooftop of OSD headquarters. They have 72 hours. And I haven't told them a thing. 71 hours now. The numbers on my main monitor tick down with a chilling, digital finality. The red trajectory line is burned into my retinas. It's a beautiful, terrible thing. A perfect Keplerian arc, clean and pure. Down on the street, life goes on. People are grabbing coffee, complaining about the light shows in the upper atmosphere from the main body of 3I/Atlas, never suspecting the real dagger is the one no one else sees. A news alert flashes on a secondary screen. It's him, Director Thorne, standing at a podium, the OSD logo gleaming behind him. He looks so confident, so utterly in command. He's talking about the successful mitigation of the primary threat, how their models predicted the atmospheric burn-up perfectly. The danger has passed, he says, his voice oozing with the kind of practiced calm that sells stocks and quiets politicians. Thanks to the clear, actionable data provided by my team, any remaining fragments of 3I/Atlas pose no significant threat. Behind him, off to the side, I see her. Lena. She's staring at the floor again, just like she did in his office that day. Her hands are clasped so tightly her knuckles are white. She knows she has to know. The same data, the same system. If she's running the models honestly, she has to see the same ghost I do. But she's standing there, a prop for his victory lap, while the clock on her own life ticks down. My stomach churns. This isn't just about Thorne's smug face being wiped off the map. It's about Lena, who taught me the best place to get ramen near the office, who covered for me when I pulled an all-nighter chasing a ghost anomaly. She's under that roof. She is the acceptable collateral damage of my silence. I turn away from the broadcast, the hypocrisy too much to bear. I'm recording all of this, you know. Every screen, every simulation, my own rambling thoughts. A black box for one. I feel like I'm the only person on the planet who's actually awake. If anyone ever finds these logs, if you're watching this transmission from the future, I don't know. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Let me know somebody got the message, even if it was too late. The thought of Lena, a ghost at a feast of fools, gnaws at me. The anger I feel at Thorne is a clean, hot fire, but the guilt over Lena is a wet, choking smoke. I pace the length of my 3-room apartment, the glow of the monitors painting stripes on the floor. 68 hours. Could I live with it? Could I live with being the sole survivor of a truth I'd locked in a box? I'm wrestling with the phone, my thumb hovering over Lena's contact photo, when a new window flashes on my central monitor. It's not a news alert. It's a system notification from a private backdoor I'd built into the OSD network years ago, a silent tripwire I'd forgotten I'd even set. Backquote, admin-t.thorn/execute, purge_archive/directory/dev/alias.vance/models/backquote. My blood runs cold. I watch, paralyzed, as lines of code scroll past at an impossible speed. He's not just deleting files. He's running a deep-level scrub, a digital acid bath designed to wipe every trace of my foundational work from the OSD servers, my predictive algorithms, my gravitational perturbation models, the very code that first flagged the anomaly in 3i Atlas. It's all turning into meaningless, unrecoverable data noise. It's the digital equivalent of burning a library of priceless books just to light a cigar. My hands fly across my keyboard, muscle memory taking over. I try to access the system, to halt the purge, to save a decade of my life's work. Backquote, access denied. Backquote, I try an older, root-level credential. Backquote, user unknown. Backquote, he's locked me out so completely it's as if I never existed. And then I see the final log entry before my backdoor connection is severed. Backquote, reason, redundancy. Obsolete theoretical frameworks superseded by OSD Prime. Backquote, OSD Prime, that's what he's calling his new system. A cheap, streamlined knockoff of my own work, likely stripped of the statistically insignificant variables that I knew were crucial. The variables that let me see the ghost. Thorn isn't just ignoring my warning. He's actively dismantling the very tool that could prove him wrong. He's not just arrogant, he's a vandal. He is trying to erase me from history. The last flicker of doubt in my soul extinguishes. The debate is over. This is no longer just about my pride or my termination. He has taken a potential catastrophe and, through his own hubris, is ensuring it will be a complete surprise. He has destroyed the evidence. He has burned the lifeboats. My silence is no longer a choice born of spite. It's the only logical outcome. He has made it impossible for me to warn them, and in doing so, he has sealed his own fate. And Lena's, the weight of that thought, settles in my gut, heavy and cold as lead. There's no turning back now. My recordings, my logs, they're not just a black box anymore. They are the only testament that will be left. The lead in my stomach is a physical thing. I can feel it pulling me down, a cold anchor in the pit of my being. Thorn didn't just fire me. He didn't just ignore me. He erased me. And in doing so, he has condemned them all. My recordings will be the only proof that I ever existed, that the truth was ever known. 65 hours. But the image of Lena's face, pale and strained behind Thorn's triumphant bulk, keeps flickering in my mind's eye. It's a stubborn ghost that refuses to be exorcised. My spite is a fortress, but the thought of her is a crack in the wall. Is this it? Do I just sit here and watch the clock run out? Could I make one call? Not to OSD, that bridge is a crater, but to someone outside the bubble? An anonymous tip. A last, desperate Hail Mary to clear my own conscience. My hand shakes as I dial 911. It feels absurd, like calling the fire department about a lit match when you know the whole building is soaked in gasoline. The operator's voice is bored, weary. 911, what's your emergency? I need to report an imminent catastrophic impact event in the city center, I say, my own voice sounding strange and formal. A pause, a faint sigh. Sir, are you referring to the meteor showers? The government has assured us that any remaining fragments of 3i Atlas are burning up harmlessly in the atmosphere. No, this is different. It's a specific fragment. It's not part of the main cluster they're tracking. It's on a ballistic trajectory. Target is the Omni-Stellar Dynamics building, 7100 Venture Plaza. Sir, she says, her tone shifting from boredom to practiced condescension. We've been flooded with calls like this. Omni-Stellar Dynamics themselves are the ones who made the official statement. They say the danger is over. They're wrong. The words burst out of me, louder than I intended. Their new system, OSD Prime, is flawed. It's blind to specific gravitational perturbations. I designed the original system. I know its weaknesses. I know what it can't see. I can hear her typing. And what's your name, sir? That's not important. Okay, sir, she says, the sarcasm dripping from the word. So you, an anonymous caller, have information that the world's leading celestial threat assessment agency, the agency that literally just saved the world, doesn't have. Yes, exactly. Director Thorne is committing professional malpractice on a civilization-ending scale. He purged the data that proves it. I'm spiraling, I can hear it. I sound like a lunatic, another crank calling from a dark room, lit by the glow of conspiracy websites. The fear is a metallic taste in my mouth. I have the truth, the pure, simple mathematical truth, and it is completely, utterly useless. It's a foreign currency in a land that doesn't recognize its value. Sir, if you don't have a real emergency, I need to clear this line. The threat is clear. The impact is in less than 65 hours, I whisper, a final pathetic plea. Please, just log it. Just send a car. Ask for Lena Petrova in analytics. Tell her Elias Vance called. The line goes dead. She hung up on me. I stare at the silent phone in my hand, the silence in the room suddenly deafening. The system, the safety net, the very concept of a shared reality where facts matter, has rejected my input. It's a closed loop. Thorne tells the world they're safe. The world tells the authorities they're safe. The authorities tell me I'm crazy. My frustration curdles into a cold, terrifying certainty. No one is coming. No one is listening. I am utterly and completely alone with this. I turn back to my monitors, the red line of the trajectory no longer a warning, but an epitaph. My epitaph. And theirs. The silence in the room is a physical presence. It presses in on my eardrums, a high-frequency hum where the operator's voice used to be. I am a prophet screaming into a dead phone. My attempt to pass the torch, to absolve myself even a little, had only resulted in my own humiliation. The system isn't just broken, it's a fortress, and Thorne is the one holding the keys, laughing from the battlements. My frustration has burned itself out, leaving behind nothing but the cold, glassy ash of certainty. I sink into my chair, the worn fabric groaning in protest. 64 hours. My eyes trace the elegant, merciless curve on the main screen. The fragment of 3i/Atlas doesn't care about my phone call. It doesn't care about Thorne's hubris or Lena's complicity. It is a creature of pure physics, a slave to gravity and momentum, and it is still coming. My logs, my recordings, they feel less like a testament now and more like a suicide note. A sudden, sharp banging on my apartment door shatters the quiet. It's not a polite knock. It's a series of hard, flat raps that vibrate through the floor. My heart seizes. I don't get visitors. Ever. My pizza is left in the hall. My packages are held at a drop-off point. No one comes here. I creep to the door, my breath held tight in my chest, and press my eye to the peephole. The distorted view shows me two uniformed police officers. My blood turns to ice. It can't be, not this fast. My hand trembles as I undo the deadbolt. The door swings inward and the two officers look me up and down. The taller one has a tired, impassive face. "Are you Elias Vance?" he asks, his voice flat. I just nod, unable to speak. They can't know. How could they know? "We received a call from Director Thorne at Omni-Stellar Dynamics." The officer continues, his eyes flicking past me into the room, drawn by the pulsing glow of my monitors. His partner's gaze follows. I see their expressions harden, shifting from procedural boredom to a kind of wary suspicion. They see the chaotic web of cables, the screens filled with arcane data, the massive, glowing red line terminating in the heart of their city. They see a madman's lair. He was concerned, said you were a disgruntled former employee making alarming calls to emergency services. Sounded like you were having a bit of a hard time, maybe. The condescension is back, a thick, smothering blanket. Thorn didn't just get the 911 log, he twisted it. He painted me as an unstable crank before I could even be heard. He used my warning as the basis for a harassment complaint. The sheer, brutal efficiency of it is almost admirable. It's not a threat, I managed to say, my voice a dry rasp. It's a warning, a fact. It's all right there. The math doesn't lie. I gesture weakly toward my central monitor. The second officer takes a half step forward, his hand resting near his sidearm. Sir, we're going to need you to calm down. Director Thorn provided us with a report from his new system, OSD Prime. It shows 0 threats. He says you've been fixated on this since your termination. Fixated, that's the word he used. The same dismissive wave of the hand that got me fired is now being used to sign my civic death warrant. His system is a sham. He purged my original models because they showed him what he didn't want to see. I know how I sound. I can hear the desperation, the frantic edge of a man who has been screaming in a soundproof room for 3 days. The taller cop's face is a granite mask. Look, Mr. Vance, we're not here to debate astrophysics. We're here to tell you to stop. No more calls to 911. No more attempts to contact anyone at OSD. This is your one and only official warning. The next step involves seizure of equipment and a mandatory psychiatric hold. The words hang in the air between us, colder and heavier than any lead in my gut. He's not just telling me to be quiet. He's telling me that if I try to speak the truth again, they will take my eyes and my freedom. They will lock me in a padded room while the sky falls. I stare at them, my mouth agape. My sanctuary has been invaded. My last resort has been turned against me. Thorn hasn't just silenced me, he has weaponized the entire system to ensure my silence. There are no more moves to make. He has checkmated me. I give a slow, defeated nod. The officer seems satisfied. Good. Have a nice night, sir. They turn and leave. I shut the door, the click of the deadbolt echoing like a coffin lid sealing. I am no longer a man withholding a secret. I am a prisoner in my own home, a hostage to the truth. My silence is no longer a choice. It is a condition of my survival, and theirs is a condition of my silence. The click of the deadbolt is the sound of the world shrinking to the size of this room. I am no longer a Cassandra, screaming a prophecy into the wind. I am a man in a box, and the box is inside a larger box that is about to be crushed. The warning from the police wasn't just a threat, it was a diagnosis. In the eyes of the world, I am officially insane. Thorn had done it. He hadn't just beaten me, he'd redefined reality itself. And in his reality, I am the glitch. The next 50-something hours pass in a state of muted, dreamlike horror. I keep the monitors on, but I no longer feel like an observer. I feel like a condemned man watching the construction of his own gallows. The numbers tick down. 60 hours, 48, 36. On the news channels, they're calling it the Week of the Falling Stars. They show footage of the main debris from 3I/Atlas burning up in beautiful, harmless streaks across the night sky. There are parties. People gather on rooftops with champagne, toasting OSD and Director Thorn for saving them from a threat that was never really there. The irony is a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I don't eat. I barely sleep, and when I do, I dream of Lena's face, her knuckles white as she stands behind Thorn. I dream of the 911 operator's bored voice. I dream of the cop's hand resting on his gun. I wake up with the cold certainty that I did everything I could, and then the hot shame that it wasn't enough. 5 hours left. The fragment is now well within Earth's gravitational influence. The final trajectory is locked, immutable. A line of red light on a screen, hurtling toward a single building full of people celebrating their own safety. Then, my phone buzzes on the desk. A text from a number I know by heart. Lena, My fingers tremble as I pick it up. My mind races. Is it an accusation? A final plea for me to stop? I open the message. It contains only 3 words. Backquote, I ran it. Backquote. My breath catches in my throat. I know exactly what she means. She ran my old models, the ones Thorne purged. She must have had a copy stashed away, a private backup. She ran it, and she saw. She saw the ghost. A second message comes through before I can even process the first. Backquote, I'm sorry, Elias. Backquote. The lead in my gut dissolves, replaced by a frantic electric current. It's not absolution, it's a confession. An admission from inside the tomb. She knows. She's sitting at her desk, under that roof, and she knows. The clock on my screen reads 97 minutes to impact. It's too late for the authorities. It's too late for an evacuation. But it's not too late for one person to run down the stairs. It's not too late for her. I abandon all thought of the consequences. The psychiatric hold, the seizure of my equipment. None of it matters. I snatch the phone and hit her contact. It rings once. Twice. My eyes are glued to the main monitor, the altitude of the fragment dropping at a terrifying rate. It has breached the upper atmosphere. Come on, Lena, pick up, I whisper, my voice cracking. 3 rings. I stand up and walk to my window, the phone pressed hard against my ear. The city glitters below, a galaxy of oblivious lights. 4 rings. It's going to voicemail. Her recorded voice, professional and calm, fills my ear. You've reached Lena Petrova. I can't come to the phone right now. As her message plays, a new star appears in the sky above the downtown skyline. It's not twinkling. It's a sharp, perfect, unwavering point of light, brighter than Venus. And it's growing. Dot, please leave a message. The phone beeps. The light in the sky swells, its color shifting from brilliant white to a faint, ominous orange as friction begins to bite. It's no longer an abstract data point on a screen. It's real. I can see it. Lena, I choke out, my eyes fixed on the descending fire. Get out of the building, run. The phone beeps, signaling the end of my recording. My message is a ghost, sent to a woman who is about to become one. The light in the sky is no longer a point. It's a tear in the fabric of the night, a searing wound growing wider and brighter with every passing second. I can feel the vibration not in the floor, but in my own bones, a low-frequency hum that is the sound of physics becoming vengeance. My hand, still holding the phone, drops to my side. There is nothing left to do but bear witness. Then the phone screen lights up. Her name glows against the black mirror. Backquote, Lena Petrova, backquote, she's calling me back. My thumb stabs at the screen. Lena, run! Don't talk, just get out of the building now, I shout, my voice raw. I can't. Her voice is thin and stretched with panic, the sound of a wire about to snap. He's locked it down, Elias. Thorne initiated an emergency containment protocol. All the doors, the elevators, they're sealed. The words don't compute. Containment protocol. For what? A fire drill? What are you talking about? Why? He said there was a security threat, she cries, her words punctuated by the distant, rising shriek of building alarms finally kicking in. He just made the announcement. No one in or out. He's trapped us in here. My blood runs cold. It's a cold that has nothing to do with fear and everything to do with a sudden, monstrous understanding. The pieces click into place with the sickening finality of a dislocated joint snapping back. The perfect purge of my data. The creation of a deliberately blind system. The immediate, surgical discrediting of my warning. It wasn't arrogance, it was architecture. Lena, I say, my voice dropping to a terrifying calm. It wasn't a mistake, was it? OSD Prime. It wasn't just flawed. No, she whispers, a sob catching in her throat. Oh God, Elias, no, it's worse. I found the core directive buried under layers of dummy code after I ran your old models. He didn't just strip your variables out. He inverted them. I stare out the window at the approaching fire, my own reflection, a ghostly mask on the glass. My skill. My unique way of seeing the ghosts in the machine. The subtle gravitational ticks that betrayed an object's true path. He hadn't just ignored it. He used it. I breathe, the realization hitting me with the force of a physical blow. He used it, she confirms, her voice breaking. OSD Prime was programmed to find the fragment of 3i Atlas using your exact methods, and then actively report its trajectory as 0 to mask it perfectly. It's a calculated lie, Elias, a deliberate, malicious, perfect lie. Only you would have built the logic that could find it, so only you could have built the logic that could hide it so completely. The iceberg, cold and vast, reveals itself. This was never about hubris. Thorne wasn't trying to hide his incompetence. He was staging a murder. The building, the servers, the people, all of it. The insurance, I say, the words tasting like ash. The consortium's intellectual property policies. And the market, Lena adds, her voice barely audible over the alarms. He shorted everything, Elias. The entire tech sector. He knew the destruction of OSD, the world's only defense, would cause a global panic. He's not just cashing an insurance check. He's burning the world economy to the ground and plans to rule over the crater. He was using my life's work to commit the single greatest act of financial terrorism in human history. He was using me. The fire in the sky is no longer an object. It's a tool, his tool. The light outside my window flashes, bathing my room in a brilliant, silent pulse. The fragment has hit the denser part of the atmosphere. It's a fireball now, a miniature sun descending on the city. He's in his office, isn't he? I ask, my voice hollow. Watching it on a private feed. She chokes out. He's going to walk out of the emergency bunker in the sub-basement tomorrow, a billionaire hero, the sole survivor of an unpredictable tragedy. He told us all the danger had passed. The phone crackles with static. The sheer energy being released into the ionosphere is starting to interfere. Lena. Your logs, Elias, she says, her voice suddenly clear, cutting through the noise with desperate intent. Your recordings. Don't let them disappear. Don't let him erase this. Make them see. The world outside my window turns white. A pure, silent, all-consuming white that swallows the skyline, the streetlights, my own reflection. The last thing I hear before the line goes dead is a single, sharp intake of breath. Her last. The sound arrives a moment later. Not a boom, but a deep, world-breaking roar that shatters my window, throwing me back from the force of the pressure wave. The sound of a building, a career, and 100 lives being turned into dust and lies. I am on the floor, surrounded by glittering shards of glass, the phone still clutched in my hand, its screen dark. Alone. The only person left on earth who knows the truth. The ringing in my ears is a high, thin wire of sound, a constant signal in the sudden, profound silence. For a moment, I am nothing but a collection of sensations. The sharp bite of glass digging into my palms, the cold night air rushing through the hole where my window used to be, the phantom weight of the dead phone in my hand. The city outside is a canvas of chaos. A distant chorus of car alarms has started, and the first sirens are beginning to weave their way through the night. I am on my knees in the wreckage of my life, but the adrenaline crash doesn't come. The shock is too deep, the horror too crystalline. It has burned away everything else, the spite, the fear, the guilt. All that remains is a single, cold, diamond-hard purpose, forged in the last words of a dying friend. Make them see. My movements are stiff, robotic. I push myself up, ignoring the sting as glass grinds into my skin. I walk back to my command center, the monitors still glowing, the red trajectory line now pointing to a smoking crater that is no longer a data point but a grave. My black box, my testament. It's time to open it. My fingers, slick with a little of my own blood, fly across the keyboard. There's no time for finesse. I drag files, compile logs, package a decade of my life and the last 3 days of hell into a single, compressed folder. backquote, evidence.zip, backquote. Inside it goes, the audio file of the bored 911 operator dismissing a catastrophe, the body cam footage I captured from my peephole camera of the two cops threatening me with a psych hold, the system logs showing Thorne's deep scrub of my models, the ones that first saw the ghost of 3i/Atlas, and the final, damning piece of the puzzle, the audio from Lena's last call. Her panicked, terrified voice, a ghost in the machine, explaining the perfect, malicious inversion of my own work. Her voice, naming Thorne. Her voice, exposing the greatest act of mass murder and financial terrorism in history. I write a simple text file, backquote, read_me.txt, backquote. Backquote, Director Thorne did not fail to predict the impact. He engineered it. He used my own algorithms to find the target and then mask it from the world. He murdered his employees and is about to crash the global economy for profit. He called it an unpredictable tragedy. It was an assassination. The proof is in this folder. My name is Elias Vance. I am at 2451 North Bridger Avenue, apartment 7B. I am not resisting. Backquote. I don't call 911. The system doesn't work. Thorne proved that. So I go around it. I go over it. I become the system myself. I open every back channel I know, every connection I still have. I push the file to every major news desk on the planet, to whistleblower sites, to hacktivist collectives I only know by reputation. I seed it on a dozen public torrent trackers, ensuring it will replicate and spread faster than any official story Thorne's money can buy. I hit enter, and 100 progress bars light up my screens, my truth flowing out into the world like a digital flood. The sirens are louder now. They are no longer distant. They are in my street. I can see the flashing red and blue lights painting the buildings across the way. They've come for the madman, the disgruntled employee, the crank caller. They don't know they're about to knock on the door of the only man who can tell them what really happened. I stand up and walk to my front door, ignoring the broken glass crunching under my feet. I don't wait for the knock. I twist the deadbolt. The sound, no longer a coffin lid but a key turning in a lock. I pull the door open and wait, leaning against the frame. The cold night air a balm on my face. The heavy thud of boots is on the stairs. They are coming. Let them come. My silence is over. My testimony is uploaded. I'm not a prisoner anymore. I'm the black box, recovered from the wreckage, and I am ready to speak. They didn't break the door down. They didn't shout. They simply walked up the stairs, saw me standing in the open doorway, and gestured for me to turn around. The cold metal of the handcuffs was a strangely grounding sensation, a solid fact in a world that had dissolved into pure theory. I didn't say a word as they led me past the flashing lights, past the curious, frightened faces of my neighbors peering from their doorways. I was a ghost leaving my own haunting. Now the silence is different. It's a manufactured, soundproofed quiet that hums with the electricity of fluorescent lights. I'm in a small, gray room. The table is bolted to the floor. My hands are free, but the phantom weight of the cuffs remains. I've been given a bottle of water I haven't touched. How long has it been? Hours? A day? Time has become a thick, viscous fluid. Sleep doesn't come. When I close my eyes, the white light is there, waiting. It's not a memory. It's a retinal burn, an afterimage seared onto the back of my eyelids. I see the skyline vanish. I hear the sharp, final intake of Lena's breath. I feel the pressure wave, not as a force that shattered my window, but as a hand pressing down on my chest, squeezing the air from my lungs, over and over. They call it post-traumatic stress. It feels more like a haunting. A woman in a severe blazer sits across from me, Detective Kincaid. She has a file open, but she rarely looks at it. She's been talking for a while, her voice a low, steady drone. She's painting a picture for me. It's a very detailed picture. In it, I am a brilliant but unstable analyst, terminated for erratic behavior and obsession. In a fit of pique, I made threatening calls, and when the unforeseen, tragic failure of the 3i Atlas mitigation occurred, I created an elaborate digital fiction to frame my former boss. "Your logs are compelling, Mr. Vance," she says, her tone suggesting the word she really wants to use is deranged, a detailed narrative. But it's a narrative that paints you as the hero of a tragedy you predicted, and Director Thorne as a pantomime villain. It's convenient. I look at my hands on the table. There's still a tiny sliver of glass embedded in my left palm. I focus on the sharp point of it. "The math was beautiful," I say, my voice a dry husk. It's the first thing I've said in hours. Kincaid leans forward slightly. "The math?" "Orbital mechanics, gravitational perturbations, the way a body moves through the void. It's a dance. Elegant, pure. I could see the patterns others missed, the subtle cues, the ghosts in the data. It was my life. It was art." I look up at her and I know my eyes are hollow. He took my art and turned it into a weapon. He used the very thing I loved, the language I speak, to murder 100 people. He made the beauty ugly. He made it scream. My unique skill, my gift. It feels like a tumor in my brain now. Every time I see the memory of that red line on my screen, I feel a wave of self-loathing so profound it makes me sick to my stomach. I built the gun. I showed him how it worked. All he had to do was pull the trigger. Kincaid watches me, her expression unreadable. She doesn't believe me. She sees a broken man confessing to his own fantasy. She sees the convenient narrative. My truth is just another ghost, and she can't see it. The door opens, and a man in a rumpled suit comes in. He whispers something to Kincaid. She looks annoyed, then gestures for him to speak. He places a tablet on the table between us. "We've been sifting through the data you uploaded," the man says. His name is Miller. He looks exhausted. "The financial forensics team found it. Massive short positions against the entire aerospace and insurance sectors, placed through a labyrinth of shell corporations. They trace back to a holding company owned by Thorne." Kincaid's poker face cracks, just for a second, a flicker of doubt. Miller taps the screen of the tablet. "But this is what's turning the tide." He hits play. The sound is tinny, distorted, full of static and the high shriek of alarms, but it is unmistakably her. Backquote. "He didn't just strip your variables out. He inverted them." Backquote. Lena's voice fills the small, sterile room. I flinch, a full-body recoil, as if from a blow. The sound of her voice is a physical thing, a shard of glass in my ear. Backquote. "It's a calculated lie, Elias. A deliberate, malicious, perfect lie." Backquote. I stare at the tablet, at the waveform dancing on the screen. It's her last testament, her ghost, finally speaking. I can hear the terror, the dawning comprehension, and I can hear my own name, an accusation and an absolution all at once. Miller stops the recording. The silence that rushes back in is heavier than before. Kincaid is staring at me now, and the professional mask is gone. She's looking at a man who is no longer a suspect but a survivor, a witness. They believe me. The realization brings no relief. There is no surge of victory, no satisfaction. There is only the vast, echoing emptiness of the crater downtown and the ringing silence on a dead phone line. My truth is out. They see the ghost now. But I am the one who has to live with it. The silence in the room was a living thing. It had weight. It had texture. Miller took the tablet back, his movements slow and deliberate, as if handling a holy relic. Kincaid was no longer looking at me like a puzzle to be solved. She was looking at me like a man who had walked out of a tomb. "We need your full statement, Mr. Vance," she said, her voice stripped of its earlier professional detachment. "Every detail. From the moment you first flagged the anomaly to the moment my officers showed up at your door." I nodded slowly. The glass in my palm was a dull throb, a tiny anchor to the physical world. "He's not going to make it easy," I said, my voice raspy. "Thorne, he'll have lawyers. He'll have a story. He'll say I manipulated the audio. He'll say Lena was my accomplice in a smear campaign." Let his lawyers try. Miller cut in, his face hard. "We have the financial data, we have her voice, and we have you. You're not a crank anymore, Mr. Vance. You're the Rosetta Stone." The next few days were a blur of secure rooms, debriefings, and sworn affidavits. I was no longer a prisoner, but a ghost kept under guard, my testimony the key to exorcising the monster who had haunted us all. They had Thorn in custody, picked up as he was about to board a private jet to a country with no extradition treaty. He was denying everything, of course, projecting the same smug confidence I remembered from my termination. He was playing the part of the grieving survivor, the victim of a conspiracy. Then came the day I had been dreading and demanding in equal measure. Kincaid led me into another gray room, this one with a one-way mirror. On the other side of the glass, a woman sat at a table, wringing her hands. I recognized her immediately, not by her face, but by the weary set of her shoulders. It was the 911 operator. "We identified her from the call logs," Kincaid said softly. "She's on administrative leave, pending a full review." "Play my call for her," I said, my voice flat. An agent on the other side of the glass hit a button. My own frantic voice filled the room. Backquote, "They're wrong. Their new system, OSD Prime, is flawed." Backquote, I watched the woman flinch. She remembered. The memory played across her face. Annoyance, condescension, the finality of disconnecting the line. "Now play the other one," I ordered. The agent complied. Lena's voice, thin and terrified, crackled through the speakers. Backquote, "It's a calculated lie, Elias." Backquote. The operator began to weep, her shoulders shaking. She was just a person, tired and overworked, following a script designed to filter out the noise, and I had been the noise. "I want to speak to her," I said. Kincaid looked at me, surprised, but nodded to the agent. A moment later, a speaker in the room crackled to life. I'm so sorry," the operator sobbed. "I get so many calls, people saying the moon landing was fake, that the stars are a government projection." I thought. "You thought I was crazy," I finished for her, my voice devoid of anger. There was nothing left to be angry at her for. She was just a gear in a machine that was designed to fail. "You hung up on me. You logged the call as a non-emergency, a crank." Thorne's people saw that log. It became the foundation of his entire defense. It was the first brick in the wall he built around the truth. I leaned closer to the glass, my reflection a pale shadow over her weeping form. "I don't want your apology. I want you to understand. A system isn't just code and protocols. It's people. It's the person who answers the phone. It's the officer who knocks on the door. It's the analyst who has to choose between their conscience and their career. You were the first line of defense, and you were trained to dismiss the one thing that could have saved them." I stepped back from the glass. That's all. Months later, I stood at a different kind of podium. Not one with a corporate logo, but one with the seal of a congressional oversight committee. The room was packed. The world's media was watching. My testimony was the final act. Thorne's empire of lies had crumbled. The financial data was undeniable. Lena's recording was the emotional core of the prosecution. My own logs, once dismissed as the ravings of a madman, were now being taught in ethics classes at MIT. "The failure was not one of technology," I said, my voice steady, echoing in the cavernous room. "It was a failure of humanity." Director Thorne didn't just exploit a flaw in our tracking systems. He exploited a flaw in our belief systems. We trust the calm, confident voice that tells us the danger has passed. We dismiss the frantic one that tells us to run. I looked out at the sea of faces. The fragment of 3I, Atlas, was a bullet, aimed with my knowledge and hidden by Thorne's greed. But the system itself loaded the gun. It did so when it allowed a single corporation to be the sole arbiter of truth. It did so when it created a 911 dispatch protocol that prioritizes clearing lines over investigating unlikely events. It did so when it empowered law enforcement to treat a warning as a threat. I paused, letting the weight of it settle. Lena Petrova saw the truth, and it cost her her life. Her last act was to make sure that truth survived. In her honor, I have drafted a proposal. The Petrova Mandate, a new international transparent agency beholden to no single government or corporation. Its data will be open source, and its core directive will be simple. Every warning, no matter how outlandish, is treated as credible until it is independently and publicly disproven. We must build a system that listens for the ghosts instead of trying to pretend they don't exist. They call me a hero now, a title that feels like a coat several sizes too large. I have my life back, but it's a different life lived in a different world. I still have my monitors, but now they are connected to a global network of observatories I helped build. I still look for the ghosts in the machine. But sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet and the only light is the glow of the screens, I pull up an old audio file. I listen to the crackle of static, the distant shriek of alarms, and the last, sharp intake of a friend's breath. My victory is a crater in the heart of a city. My vindication is a voice recording from a tomb. They see the truth now. But I'm the one who hears the ghost. The new glass in the window frame doesn't hum. The old pane, the one that shattered, had a subtle vibration, a resonance I only noticed once it was gone. This new one is silent, inert. It holds the city at a sterile distance. It's been 3 months. The world has moved on, as it does, to the next crisis, the next headline. Thorn is a footnote in a history book he tried to burn. I am a chapter in it. My therapist, a kind woman with tired eyes, says I need to find a new routine. She says I need to reclaim my space. So some mornings, I walk down to the ramen shop Lena used to love. I sit at the counter and stare into the steam rising from the bowl, and one try to remember the taste of the broth without the taste of ash. Some days I almost succeed. They call me the director of the Petrova Mandate. It's a title that feels like a costume. People want to shake my hand. They want to thank me. They use the word hero a lot. I see Kincaid and Miller on the news sometimes, talking about systemic reform. They're the heroes. They're the ones who listened. I was just the man who screamed into a dead phone until the world caught fire. I sit at my monitors now. The spider web of cables is gone, replaced by a clean, professional setup funded by a dozen governments. The room is the same, but it's no longer a bunker. It's a lighthouse. My work is no longer a secret. It's a broadcast. My logs are open source. My data stream's public. I have a team, a small group of brilliant young analysts scattered across the globe, all of them fluent in the language of gravitational whispers. An alert pings, soft and unobtrusive. It's not a red line of doom, just a yellow flag of inquiry. A near-Earth asteroid, newly catalogued, has a peculiar wobble. It's a tiny thing, no bigger than a car, on a trajectory that will take it 1,000,000 safe miles from Earth. Statistically insignificant noise. The kind of thing Thorn would have purged. The kind of thing I would have obsessed over in my fortress of solitude. I stare at the data, the familiar dance of numbers playing out on the screen. I can see it, a ghost. A faint tidal stress, a minute outgassing from a pocket of frozen volatiles warmed by the sun. It's nudging the asteroid, ever so slightly. The change is microscopic, but it's there, it's beautiful, it's my art. My fingers move across the keyboard, but I'm not locking the data down. I'm annotating it. I open a shared channel. Morning team, I type. Take a look at 2023 KM4. I'm seeing a non-gravitational perturbation consistent with cometary outgassing. Let's model a decay orbit. I want to see where this ghost is trying to go. Responses pop up instantly. From Berlin, from Tokyo, from a university in Brazil. They see it too. They're running the models, sharing their findings. We are all watching the ghost together. There is no secret. There is no silence. The work is the only therapy that seems to stick, reclaiming the math, making it a shared language of protection instead of a private weapon of vengeance. This is how I honor her. Not with monuments or mandates, but by building the system that should have existed for her. A system that listens. I still hear her sometimes, in the quiet moments between orbits, the sharp intake of breath, the crackle of the line going dead. The ghost is always there. But it's no longer a scream. It's a signal, a reminder of the cost of not listening. and I am finally in a place where I can answer. I look at the world through 2 layers of glass now, the new window in my apartment, and the lens of what happened. The city skyline is whole again, a seamless illusion of permanence. The crater is a memorial park now, a quiet, manicured wound in the heart of downtown. They put up a black marble wall with the names of the dead. Lena Petrova is 3rd from the top. I'm told the Petrova mandate is working. The data flows. The ghosts are hunted in the open by a global chorus of voices. We have already, quietly, averted 2 minor potential incidents, statistically insignificant events that could have become something more. The system I designed in her name is a system that listens. It's a small, cold comfort. My therapist says I've made progress. I sleep through the night more often than not. The white light that used to be seared onto my eyelids has faded to a dull gray, but the silence is still there. Not the quiet of an empty room, but the specific, deafening silence that followed the click of the phone line going dead. The silence of a world that refused to listen right before it was forced to. The work is what anchors me. My monitors are no longer a fortress against the world, but my window into it. This morning, a flag came up, 2024 GE7. A shard of rock, barely the size of a shipping container, tumbling in a high, eccentric orbit. My old code, now the backbone of the mandate's public alert system, saw something. A ghost, a tiny, almost imperceptible deviation in its spin, a gravitational hiccup that didn't belong. 3 months ago, I would have locked this data down. I would have held it close, a secret I alone could decipher. I would have let it fester into a prophecy or a curse. Today, I clicked share. I typed a single line into the open channel, a message seen instantly by my team in Houston, in Darmstadt, in Beijing. Backquote, seeing a spectral ghost in 2024 GE7 looks like a close pass with a previously unmapped micromoonlet. Let's get more eyes on it. Backquote. The response was immediate. Data streams poured in. Telescopes were retasked. The ghost was caught in a net of 1,000 eyes. It was no longer my burden. It was our puzzle. My art, once a solitary and painful act, has become a conversation. This is the new normal. This is how I make the beauty mean something again. I still have the old logs, the recordings I made when I was the only man on Earth who knew the sky was falling. The whole story, from my termination to the final, terrible impact of 3I/Atlas. I've kept it all on a single, isolated drive. My black box. This story. It's a record of a system that failed, and a testament to the friend who died trying to fix it. It's a reminder that the loudest, most confident voices are often the most wrong, and that sometimes the most important truths begin as a whisper, a ghost in the machine that only one person can see. My hope is that, because of what happened, we've built a world that is finally ready to listen. This is Elias Vance, signing off. If you made it this far, if you heard the whole story, hit the like button. Subscribe. Let me know somebody got the message.